Let's learn some Mishnahs. We were up to Parak Ches Mishnah Beis, the 8th Parak, 2nd Mishnah. Nemonim ala leket. We believe the poor people, if they say that this produce that they have is leket.
Sorry, which Mishnah?
Beis, 2nd Mishnah.
Second, and 8.
Yeah. Nemonim ala leket, vala shikcha, vala peah. So we believe a poor person to say that this grain he has comes from leket or from shikcha or from peah, and are therefore exempt from Trum and Meiser, b'shaiton, in the season when leket, shikcha, and peah are available. Vala Meiser ani, and if the...
Chapter 8
yeah,
or 9?
8.
8, Mishnah 2.
Yeah. Vala Meiser
Sorry,
ani.
can you start over again?
Nemonim al haleket, vala shikcha, vala peah. We trust the poor people about the source of this grain being from leket, shikcha, or peah, which are then exempt from a Meiser. B'shaiton, at the time when they're available. Val Meiser ani, and if they say it's the 10th that the way the Meiser cycle works, in the first, second, fourth, and fifth years, you have Meiser Sheni, which has to be taken up to Yerushalayim and eaten there. In the third and sixth years, you have Meiser ani, which you give to the poor people; they can do whatever you want. And then in the seventh year, you have Shemitah, and there's no Meiser. So in this third and sixth year, that b'chol shnasa, the whole year, if a poor person says that any produce he has comes from Meiser ani, we believe him. Uben Levi neman lo'olam, and a Levi who says that the produce he has is Meiser is also believed all the times, because that applies in all the years. Ve'enu nemanim el al davar shebnei adam noegin came, but they're only believed about things that people customarily give as Meiser. For example, nemanim al chitim, they're believed about wheat, because wheat is the way it's usually given as Meiser. Ve'en nemanim al kemah v'lei al pas, but they're not believed about flour or bread, because people usually do not process the grain to that stage before they give Meiser. Or nemanim al hasa'ira shel iris, they're believed about the rice that still looks like barley, it's still in its husks. Because again, that's the stage at which people would normally give Meiser. Ve'en nemanim alav bein chay u bein mavush, but they're not believed about further processed rice, whether it's cooked or raw. And nemanim al apul, they're believed about beans. Ve'en nemanim al grisin, but they're not believed about bean meal, because usually people would give the Meiser again before they would grind it up. And lechaim v'leim mavushal, doesn't matter if that meal is cooked or raw. Nemanim al shemen, they're believed about oil, because that people would give Meiser after it's made into oil. Leimer shel Meiser ani, to say that this oil is from Meiser ani. Ve'en nemanim alav leimer zayis nakafu, but they're not believed to say, I picked some olives from a tree and I made oil from those myself, because the olives left in the tree usually are not particularly good for making oil, and it's unlikely that the ani used his shikcha olives to make oil. Mishnah Daled. Nemonim al hayerek chai, they're believed about raw vegetables, because again, that's how people would normally give Meiser. Ve'en nemanim al mavushal, but not about cooked vegetables, because usually you would give the Meiser before you cook the vegetables. El im kein hayle davar muad, unless it's a small amount.
Why is that?
Shekain derech balabayis lios maitzi mi ilfas, because sometimes someone will forget, and he'll cook a batch of vegetables without having taken off Meiser. So he'll have to take Meiser now from the pot of vegetables he cooked, but that's not going to be very much. It'll be whatever. At most, it'll be a tenth of a pot. So how much vegetables can he have that would be from cooked vegetables that are getting as Meiser? Okay. Mishnah is a new idea of a minimum amount that you have to give when you're giving out Meiser ani, which the Balabayas controls the distribution of. So then, ein paisam la'aniyim begarin, you can't give less to the poor people when they come to your granary. Michatzi kav chitim, you have to give them half a kav of wheat, maybe half a bushel, maybe a peck, somewhere around there. If a kav sa'irim, no, much less. A kav is maybe like a peck, maybe a quarter of it's much smaller.
Yeah.
V'kav sa'irim, and twice as much barley. So I explain, because wheat is more filling, so you're giving them enough food that it will keep them full. So they need more barley than they need wheat. You may or may know they're the same. They're both chatzi kav, they're both half a kav. And then kav v'chatzi kusmin of spelt, you need to give them even more. You need to give a kav and a half. Kav gregoris, a kav of dried figs. Oy mana dvela, or a mana is a weight of, if you made the dried figs into a cake, so you have to give them what weighs a mana. I don't know, like some number of grams, maybe 50. Rabbi Eliezer Pras says no, half of that. Chatzi lug yain, you have to give them about about half a liter probably of wine, or Rabbi Akiva Meravius, a shiur we're used to, a single cup, Revius shemen, or a cup of oil.
Did you have another rabbi's name before Akiva? I don't see that here.
No.
Oh, okay.
Rabbi Akiva Meravius, shemen. There's all Rabbi Akiva. That's interesting. All right, right. So there's a stam Tana who say one number, and then Rabbi Akiva keeps saying less. Right, so the Tana said half a lug, Rabbi Akiva said a quarter. The Tana says a quarter of a lug of oil. Rabbi Akiva says shminas an eighth of a lug. V'shar kol haperis, all the other fruits. Amar Abba Shol, so Abba Shol says kadesh yim karim, enough that they could sell them. V'yikach behem mazon shtei sudas, and they could use the money they'll get to buy food for 2 meals. And then Mishnah Vav, Midazu Amura, these amounts are said, B'Kohanim U'B'Levim B'Yisraelim. It doesn't matter who's giving it out, it's the same amount. Hayam Matzil, if you're saving it, so let's say you have a poor person that you'd want to give some of your Meiser Ani to. So the Mishnah says, Neitel Mechso Neisin Mechso. You can keep half of your Meiser Ani for whoever it is that you specifically have in mind that you want to give it to. And the other half you should give to the Aniyim that come. Let's say let's say you have not enough to give all the aniyim that show up the requisite amounts. Then you say, here, this is what I have. And they'll work it out amongst themselves, and they'll split it up. And even though
Are you on Mishnah 7 now?
yeah, 6.
Oh, still 6. Okay.
If it was a small amount,
Oh, okay.
you just give them. You say, here, this is what I have as my surani. And they'll work it out themselves, even though they won't get the minimum amounts, but you don't have enough to give everyone the minimum amount. So, okay, let's stop here.
Wow.
So